Hi, I'm Chris and I'm going to take you through weekly challenge number 1. So if we take a look at the challenge, what we have here, we've got a challenge that's called join to range. We've got a company in Australia whose source data is made up of a series of postcodes which start 2000, 2001, 2002, etc. And amongst those there's some separate data fields. There's also a separate reference table which contains postcode ranges, and they'd like to match those to their main data set. So within the data, each customer record needs to be joined to lookup table based on a postal area, ranged region, and finally summarize the customer data to region, sales rep and responder, then account of customers. So if we look at the tools that we need to use here, we need to use a generate rows tool and a join tool. So let's have a look at what this looks like in Alteryx. So looking at the Alteryx data here, we can see we've got two input files, one called customer and one called sales rep. If we look at the customer data, we'll add a browse tool to this, and we'll also add a browse to the sales rep data. If we run these workflows, we can see what this data looks like. For the customer data, what we can see on this column here is we've got customer ID, store number, customer segment, whether they're a responder, this might be to a survey, and then the postal area for where that customer lives. And then for the sales rep data, we've got a region range where they cover. So region 1 covers postcode ranges 2000 to 2019, and that's owned by sales rep John, and he expects a revenue here of 1 million. Then we've got the next record in here, which is 2020 to 2039, owned by Ted, etc. So what we want to do is know for our customers which sales reps they are represented by. So what we need to do is join this data on the postal area with the sales rep data here. So what we can see first of all is that our data has got a delimiter, it's got a hyphen delimiter. So we need to split this out. So to do that, we'll use the parse tools and we'll use text to columns. Connect that in and click on the left hand anchor, we can see how our data looks like as it goes in. And what we want to do is we want to split the range column on the delimiter hyphen, and we want to split that into two columns. If we run that workflow, what we can see now is we've got two new fields, 1 and 2, and we can see that we've got 2000 and 2019 in a separate column. And what we'll just do for clarity here is we'll just rename these. So we'll bring in a select tool, and we'll get rid of the original data. So if we look here, we don't need the range column. And then field 1, we're going to rename start range, and field 2 we'll name end range. Once we've got that, we now have a field we can join. If we bring in a join tool, what we can see is in our customer data we've got the field postal area, and then in here, so we'll connect that into the left hand side, and then in the right hand input we've got our start range and our end range. If you go into the join tool, what you can see is you've got what you want to join on. So we've got postal area on the left and on the right. So we have two options, start range and end range. Within Alteryx, you're unable to join on conditions. It's expecting each field to match exactly. So if I just show you what that would do, just as a demonstration. So if we select start range, what we'll have is an error first of all that says that string fields can only be joined to other string fields. So if we look at the data coming in, if you click down here in the results pane and look at the metadata, we can see that our postal area is an integer 16. And then if we look on the right hand side and look at our data coming in, we can see that our start range is a string. So first of all, you need to make these consistent. So what we'll do is we'll change the start range as an int 16, and we'll do the same to our end range. Now if we run this, what we can see in our data is that we've been able to join the postal areas. But if you look here, within our customer data, we've got the postal area 2000, and we've also got sales rep John, who starts on 2000. But if you look through our customers, we've only got 2000, and then it suddenly jumps to 2020, and that's because you then move on to the next sales rep Ted, who starts at 2020. So we need a way of infilling our customer data. So we do that using the Generate Rows tool. So if we take a Generate Rows tool and place that up here on our customer data, just put it up here so there's a little bit more space. What we now want to do is create a new column or a new field. So we want to call this, let's have a look at what the data is called coming in. So the data coming in is start range, end range. Sorry, I've added that in the wrong place. Didn't connect around. Add that into here. Generate rows. We need to add it into the sales rep data. So if we look at our data coming on the left hand side, we've got postal area. So here we want to add a new column that's called postal area. And we want to start the postal area at the start range. So we'll start at start range. We now want the postal area, which is this field here. So I'll just go into expression editor. So we want the postal area to be less than or equal to the end range. So we add that in. So we have postal area less than or equal to end range. Click OK on that, and then our expression will loop through. So what we'll end up doing is adding one. So here it had row count because that's what it defaults to. But if we add in postal area +1, if we now run this and then look after the generate rows tool, what we've now done for sales rep John, where he had postcodes 2000 to 2019, he's now got 19 records that represent those. 20 records, apologies. And then if we go to the join, what we can now do is join postal area to postal area, run that workflow, click on the right hand side. So now we can see all of these customers here. So we've got 2000, 2001, etc. And they're representative sales rep. What you can do within a join tool is there's a bit of duplication of the data. So we don't need postal area again on the right hand side. Actually we don't need the start range and the end range condition on that. Now we've got that, we can go back to the question. So the question was, for each customer record, we've joined it on a lookup table. Then we basically need to finally summarize this by customer data by region, sales rep, responder, and then a count of customers. So if we do transform and bring in the summarize tool on the join, what we can do is say we want to do it by region. So we group by. We also want sales rep, group by. We want whether they're a responder. So we've got responders and that's yes and no. And then we want a count of customer IDs, which is here. And for customer IDs, if we look at the browse tool, which profiles the data at the start, we can see we've got 2,678 records, and the profiling of customers tells us that there's 2,678 customers unique. Therefore, I know that I can do a count, and I'm not going to end up duplicating customers there. And also, if we look at the join here, we can look on the left hand side and see that there's no records, and also on the right hand side, which means we've got complete matches. So coming in, we have 2,678 records, and then coming out on the join, we also have 2,678 records. So if we run that now, what we've now got is a summary table, which shows us the region, the sales rep, whether customers are responders or not, and then a count. And if we look at the solution, we can see our data matches that. And when I do the weekly challenges, I like to use the crew macro expect equals to make sure that all the fields and the records are consistent with the output. So if we bring that one in, run that workflow, we can see that there's no errors generated, so we know we've got an exact match. So that's a walkthrough of this weekly challenge. I'd like to just thank you, and if you've got any questions, please reach out to me at ChrisDataBlog on Twitter. Many thanks.